Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to RW Coolins Presents Soul Sessions, a Black Man's Perspective. This is something new we're doing here. We did the women out 2 weeks ago, and this week we're going to do the men. So before we get into this, first and foremost, giving honor to God who allows me to come to you in this manner on a weekly basis. And we're going to get these formalities out the way with the phone number, 844-904-2665. That's 844-904-2665. No matter what the situation is, let your voice be heard. Always ask to say what you mean what you say. So we're going to bring my panelists in this morning. Got three great panelists this morning. I'm going to give them an opportunity to let y'all know who they are. Do a little intro. Got James Battle, Reggie P. and Willis Cheney. My brothers, what's going on this morning? How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Doing well. Doing well.
Looking for some insight this morning, brother. Looking for some insight. So let's go ahead and start it off with, I think most of y'all know two of them, but we're going to start off with Mr. Willis Cheney and let him give a little intro of who he is, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Willis. Talk to him.
Yes, Willis Cheney. I am a God-fearing husband and father. My day job, I'm in sports marketing. Been so for about the past 13, 14 years. Really enjoy it. And from a personal passion perspective, I'm really into this, understanding the subconscious mind, the overall power of the mind. Really enjoy that.
All right. James Battle, give him a little taste of, reiterating who you are on here, bro. You've been here a couple times or two.
Oh, yeah. James Battle. I'm currently reside in Austin, Texas. Husband, father, grandfather, a U.S. Air Force veteran. Also, I work in the aviation industry, so I work for the airport. I've been working there for almost 30 years now, so time to give it up. But anyway, I always enjoy being on here. So thank y'all for having me this morning.
Appreciate you for coming in. Reggie P., talk to me.
Hey, y'all. Reggie P. I am a professionally retired father, professional husband, professional grandfather. I am officially retired, but I am busy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But life is good. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be on this podcast this morning. Thank you again, my brother.
Oh, no pressure. Appreciate y'all coming in, man. We're going to have some good in-depth conversation about a couple of topics that I kind of sent out to y'all, but I got some caveats I want to throw in there. So before we start, you got your intros out the way, but I want to throw this caveat, and I want all you to chime in on this. Before we get into your perspectives on these conversations or these things we're going to talk about, what is the one thing you would want people to know about you that can give them an idea of where you stand once you start giving your perspective? One thing.
I'll jump in. This is something that I tell my son is you take any coin that's a penny, quarter, nickel, half a dollar, whatever it is. The only way that coin is going to have value is if you have both sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. So from my perspective, I like to be understanding of who I'm speaking to, his or her experiences, and whether or not I agree, that's a different subject, but I like to be understanding and try to be thoughtful before I speak.
All right.
You want to go, JP? You want me to go?
Pete? I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I guess what I would say to kind of sum up everything for me is I'm a very passionate person about a lot of different things. So whatever subject it is, if it's something that I'm really passionate about, you'll basically hear a lot from me about it. So That's it.
That's it. P-Row, talk to me.
I consider myself like a vase or a vessel. I try to absorb as much as I can around me. Try to have understanding of, not complete understanding, but some understanding of situations and understanding the outcome. how that can not only affect me as a person, but affect the community, affect my family. You know, I just want to be a good steward in life, and understanding and getting complete, and not always complete, but some knowledge, some understanding of a situation or a circumstance.
And the reason I ask that is because I think sometimes where a lot of people get caught up is that your perspective, when you have it, they think that's your end all to be all, that you believe it and nobody else can change your mind. And it's not to change your mind. And I've always said this. I don't do this show and I try not to say things to change people's minds. I want them to think differently than they did when they tuned in, which is all we can ever ask for. I mean, we're never going to agree on everything, but we should have some understanding of where the other person's come from. And I like what Willis said as far as the two sides to a coin. Because, you know, we always hear that there's his side, there's her side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle type thing. It goes along with that. So let's go ahead and jump in, fellas. Y'all ready? Because I think we got some good ones here today. Let's go ahead and start off with and get this out the way. Politically speaking, let's go into the politics on the top. State of the Union was the other day. Show of hands, how many watched? Wow. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Past my bedtime.
Well, you know, but we'll get into this in a minute. I'm going to leave it alone for a minute. But in there, Joe Biden, you know, they talk about his age and everything like that, but he was very direct. He was very clear. He talked about what he's accomplished, where the holdups and things are and everything like that. So after the fact, and James, I'm pretty sure there was a rebuttal. You know, they always do the answer to the State of the Union by an Alabama senator named Katie Britt. After it was over, they said she was very passionate about what she was speaking on and things like that. A lot of lies were told. Let's just be real from what we know about looking at it. But they said she was passionate. My question would be, why is it that when other folks of a different persuasion speak their mind, give their opinions, is passion, but when we do it, it's anger? Why are we labeled as the angry black man or the angry black woman when we're passionate about what we're speaking of, and because they may not agree, we're angry? Help me out with that, because I talked to the women about this a little bit, but I want to hear it from a male perspective. Are we angry?
Well, first of all, I watched that. I watched her last night, and I thought I was watching a Saturday Night Live skit. To be perfect. Right, but to answer your question, it's the perception of the black, not just male person, the perception of and what's been perceived through society throughout our lives. We are perceived as always the villain and never the victim, and that's what Fannie is being perceived as right now. You know, she's the villain because she's going after the megas of the universe. So, you know, this lady, of course, she, you know, she's in her kitchen and everything's white and everything's, you know, look like, you know, like I said, it looked perfect. But you're looking at Fannie and they got her in a courtroom, you know, drilling her 24/7 on her personal life. It's the perception. It's the perception. Our race is always going to be perceived as the villain, no matter what we do. You know, you take the same apple, right? And you got two apples, one's green and one's red, right? Somebody's going to think that red apples are better because that's what you see every day as a red apple, you know, television shows and everything else. But the green apple might be sweeter, but the red apple is what everybody believes. It's just like, you know, when we grew up, everybody grandmama had the white Jesus hanging in their kitchen. You know what I'm saying? You know, because that's what we're told Jesus looked like. Am I wrong? So it's the perception. It's the white horse. You know, that white horse riding in, but the guy on the black horse really might be the hero.
Yeah.
Somebody else want to chime in, because I got something I want to throw back. Yeah. Go ahead, Bam.
I think it's in my opinion, I think a lot of times when people see us as the angry person, I think it's because that's what they know we should be. We should be angry about a lot of things, but we have not, behaved in that way. We've not really, if you go back to the civil rights days, for example, rather than marching, we could have been doing something a whole lot worse than marching. And they have always expected us to be angry. So whenever any type of situation comes up, that is their first thought, is that we're going to be angry. And so I think it surprises them a lot of times that we're not angry. So, in my opinion, it's always been that. It's always been that way, But
go ahead, Willis.
Yeah, anger versus passion. A couple of ways to go about it. One, I'll address it from the narrative that's set. Obviously, it's a very intentional narrative against us that we are the angry Black man, woman, and it's to disregard or basically ignore what we have to say. I think if you label someone as angry, then you can put them in some emotional funnel, some emotional pile, and say, well, that's just how they are. But on the other side of anger versus passion, you can be both. I think you can be both. I'm very passionate about the current status, the growth, the overall projection of us as a culture. Very passionate about it. Very passionate about a whole host of other things. Am I angry about how we are treated? Am I angry about what continues to happen to this day? Of course. But that doesn't mean that within my anger, I cannot articulate myself in a very clear, concise way and get my message across. So that's why I say I think it's a means to eliminate us from what we have to say by labeling us. Yes, we can be angry, which a lot of us are, but we also have a lot of important things to say, not only about what's going on, but also about resolutions.
Yeah, and let me throw this caveat in there. Would you, and this is for all three of you, if it is anger, wouldn't you feel it was justified? And I say that because with everything that we know through our history that's going on, even with our own experiences, when we continue to see these things, these injustices and things, we may speak it out of passion as far as we're against what's going on, passionately expressing it, but it's received as anger. But either way, as Willis said, shouldn't it be the fact that there's a reason for us to be angry if we are? I think that's where the message gets lost a lot of times, is the fact of until you, and we always hear this, until you walked in my shoes, you don't know what I've been through. And until you've been a Black person in the United States of America or abroad, you don't know the trials and tribulations we face on a daily basis. So to consider me to be angry could be justified. However, my anger is not always portrayed in my actions. My anger is always the fact of seeing the things that I see and you disregarding them as me just being angry, rather than me being passionate about my people, what I'm trying to do and where we're trying to go. I think that's where, for me anyway, that's where it comes in. And right now, and this should make everybody angry. I'm not even just talking about an angry Black man. Let's just be real here.
Yeah.
We got a Republican nominee who is on trial, or about to go to trial, for having classified documents that he kept. And because he's a Republican nominee, now he's about to get security briefings on classified information. If you're not angry about that, I don't care who you are, something's wrong. Because, and I'll let y'all chime in, but I'm going to ask it this way. Can you or would you ever suspect, or could you see anybody that looks like you being able to be given the benefit of the doubt of having classified information and be on trial for it and still be briefed on the classified information that you were trying to keep?
No,
Somebody that looks like you now. Let's be real.
They wouldn't let you in the door.
no.
They wouldn't let you in the door. Ain't no way. First of all, you be in jail.
That's right.
Anybody else would be in jail.
So that goes exactly to your point that the anger is justified.
And that's why I wanted to throw that caveat in there, because when we are angry, we are justified in our anger.
Absolutely.
The thing about it is they take our anger and what the justification is, they eliminate the justification and they hold on to the fact of you're just mad. You're just angry. Like there's no reasoning behind it when they know, and most people know why we are and why we react the way we react. But they use that as a tool. In my opinion, they use it as a tool to keep us, per se, under control. Because what we do when we are angry, even when it's justified, the first thing we do is try to get them or other folks to understand I'm not angry.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to do. We want to put them at ease. No, I'm not angry. And then we come out with, I'm passionate about what I'm speaking about. However, I think that's where we do ourselves a disservice, because the thing is, and like Willis said, you can have both. Both things can be true, but I shouldn't have to explain to you that I'm not angry. If you receive it that way, that's about your reception of what I have to say, not about how I delivered it. So that's why I wanted to ask that. So I have to laugh, bro. I have to laugh because there's no way, and you've seen the comments from Deborah Harris and Edward Allen made it emphatic. Hell no, you would not see anybody look like us getting those damn documents or getting briefed on that stuff. So Deborah Harris, she says, therefore, the reason why we're angry is not addressed. Exactly. It's pushed off that we're the issue rather than addressing the issue. And I think so with that, how do we, and I shouldn't have to say it this way, but how do we balance that? How do we have the passion, but not come off as angry? Because my thing is, and I guess I'm answering my own question, because no matter how you say it, they're going to think you're angry anyway, especially if you're talking about racism, injustice, or anything like that. Politics, same thing. You're in Texas, right, Battle?
Yeah.
Battle's in Texas. P. Rose in Georgia. Willis, you're in Indiana, right? Indiana. Okay. And I'm in Las Vegas. So we got 4 different areas all covered. What's the temperature in your areas, in our community right now, as far as what's going on with politics?
Here,
are people involved? Not you. I don't want you to think about you. I want you to think about the people that are around you or things in the community. Are we involved in what's going on? Other than being mad or angry about what we see with injustices, are we involved in the process like we should be? From your opinion and what you see?
I don't think so. Not in Texas. I don't think so. I think if we were more involved, you would see more changes in our political structure. Because right now in Texas, Republicans run pretty much everything, and we have a large population of African American people here, minorities in general, but we're not engaged. A lot of people are just not engaged. I talk to people all the time about why they don't get more engaged with the political stuff that's going on around here. And that's why we have those same types of issues that they have in Florida with, history being banned and books and all of that, schools not being able to teach what they need to teach, people trying to get rid of the DEI programs and all that. The same stuff that's going on in Florida is going on in Texas. And if we had more people involved, I think some changes would be made.
Talk to me, Willis.
Well, yeah, I've the conversations that I've had, they're thoughtful conversations. some of the people that I've talked to, they've almost convinced me that the presidential election, that in itself, that's not where we make the change.
Mhm.
The change is in the senators and in your mayors and in your local politicians, all the way up to those are the people that we vote in, and those are the ones that are writing laws and writing bills, and the president is an image for the most part, commander in chief of our military. But in terms of the actual politics, as we want to look at it, that's where the change should be made. So that just it opened my mind to think, man, I have no idea of how to start to galvanize those in the community to make that an important factor, something that you could become passionate about, to
Right.
try to do things. So I have a lot of questions myself, to be honest.
And we should. And that's not a bad thing. We should have many questions because what we've been told, we're realizing is not true. What we've been told through our lives about politics and how the political process works, a lot of it is not true. A lot of it is propaganda to get us to sway one way or the other. Reggie, I want you to go, but then I got something I want to add in there.
Who?
Reggie. Yeah, that wasn't anger. That was passion.
No, I don't know. Who you said?
P-Row.
Okay, I answer.
Today ain't the day, bro. Come on.
Here in Georgia, and I'm just speaking about my community and what I see here in South Fulton where I'm at. I see a lot of people out there trying to make change, trying to have a voice, trying to make an impact. And I see it not, when I go to other counties too. Now, it needs to be more. It needs to be stronger. There needs to be a bigger voice heard here. We have a Republican governor who, he is who he is. He's not a Biden fan, so he's adamant about letting you know that. He support who he supports, and it's an issue. But we are challenging here to try to get at the lower seats, like Willa said, the mayors, the judges, the councilmen, things of that nature. We're working on getting more involved in things. My wife works for the city of Chamblee. There's no diversity on the city council, so they're pushing to try to get a one person up there now, maybe two later. So it's an effort that's being made. Can it be more? I mean, that's across the board in all 50 states. But it's a fight that people are trying to fight, and hopefully we win.
Yeah, and one of the things that I noticed, and this is just from my travels and the people I speak to, we're upset about the process. We're upset about the people that are there, but we're not coming up with solutions on how we're going to change what's going on. And I think that's where the issue lies, is because we expect everyone but ourselves to do what needs to be done. We're not the ones to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go change. And it leads me into what I want to ask this question. Eliminate Republican and Democrat out of the picture of politics, just for this exercise. Could you see voting for anyone outside of the fact of whether they're for abortion or pro-life, the immigration issue, any of that? If you were talking to somebody right now that was running, that didn't have a D or R in front of their name, what would be one of the biggest things that you would want to hear from that person to make you want to vote for them? And I say take out the D and the R, because I think sometimes we get caught up in that. We get caught up in the D and the R without hearing the actual message, because we think it's tribalism. Let's just call it what it is. It's tribalism more than anything, where pick a side, no matter what happens and no matter how they feel, this is how I feel, this is how I'm going 100%. But even Democrats, if you're a Democrat, and even Republicans, if you're a Republican, don't have 100% of what you want continuously when they go in those chambers to vote. So if you could eliminate those D's and R's, do you think you would have a different perspective on any of the issues that we talk about? Can you go either way?
If you eliminate the D and the R, all right, and all you going to cast your vote is on the person. Is that what you're asking, right?
Well, their stance on the issues.
The stance on the issue. That person's stance on the issue.
Right.
If your values and your morals and your thought process is in line with what I'm thinking, I wouldn't care if you a D or R, green or blue, black or white, because I understand that we're in the same fight. It wouldn't that wouldn't matter to me. If I had to sit down and listen to 4 people, and I didn't care what they were, I'm looking at them as a blank slate. They're all great, right? But what that one person says that reaches my core value, right? I got to ride with that person.
Okay. Willis?
This is just my personal opinion on this. I'm not really a fan of, and again, taking away the D and the R, I'm not really a fan of picking one thing and riding with that particular person off that one thing. Meaning there are some things on the Republican side of it that I agree with. There are some things on the Democratic side that I agree with. But when I do venture into those political conversations with friends, it's usually based on, this is my stance that I agree with this person,
right?
And that's it. And so when you try to have a conversation with him or her and bring up, well, this person also stands here on this position, and how do you feel about that, or what do you think about that? And it's just disregarding it. Yeah. So if it were up to me, I don't know how many people would be on board with this, but I think as a people, we should vote on the actual issues. Whatever the issues are, that's what we vote on. We don't vote on a person standing up trying to categorize him or herself as what they represent, because behind those closed doors, there's all kinds of things going on.
Right.
But that's a different world.
Yeah, it is. Battle, I know you watch a lot of MSNBC, Fox News, CNN. I know you watch them all, so go ahead and talk to me.
I watch them all. I would say that so I try not to always look at people from the D and the R perspective, but I do know that what I really look at is which candidates are actually going to stand up for something. I mean, most of the time when you talk to people that are running for office, they'll tell you what they believe in, or they'll tell you what they stand for. But then when the time comes for them to vote for those things, they just side with the rest of their tribe, is like you were saying earlier. And so that's where I really have to see the person in action for me to really make an informed choice. Because when candidates are running for the first time or whatever, they'll tell you anything. They'll tell you that they believe in everything that you believe in. But then as soon as they have the opportunity to actually show that, then you see them going to the sides where the tribe is. So I try to watch people like that and try to, make my judgments based on those types of things. And right now, what I see is that we have people that don't really have any principles. They don't really believe in what they say. They don't believe in what they're voting on. It's like, well, I got to do what these guys do.
The party line. I got to go across the party line.
So what you're saying is,
I don't like that.
So what you're saying is, if a person tells you A but show you B, you better believe B.
Right.
But
Pretty much.
let me tell y'all why I asked that question. Is because I think people have forgotten this. Donald Trump was never a Republican until he decided to run for president. Donald Trump was a Democrat, donated to Democratic candidates and everything. He's seen a loophole where he could become president by feeding into what the Republican Party is all about. Now he has transformed them to be what they are. Because, and I say that because do I agree with every Republican? I'll go along with what Willis said, and Peter, I think you touched on it too. You got to look at both sides of the coin again. I agree with some of the Republican standpoints. I agree with some of the Democratic standpoints. But I got to look at the bigger picture, because I think a lot of people go and they vote strictly for their own interests, not looking at the interests of their community. And we're going to get into that in a minute, the community and the people that are in their lives. And I say that because when you take out the D and the R, if you got a brother, and I'll talk about a brother now, if you got a brother that decides to vote Republican because his interest more sides with that person or what their values are, why do we consider him a sellout, or Uncle Tom, a coon? And I don't use those words, but I'm using for what I'm saying now, because the thing is, what we don't understand, we label. A lot of times we label. And I think that's where we fall short, is that when we do that, it seems like we're not open-minded to the fact that, and I'll give you a prime example, everybody wants to talk about their 401k when they talk about Donald Trump. Well, your 401k was good, that they say under him, but at the same time, you're mad because he was keeping classified documents. You want your 401k to be good because you think he did it, but you're mad because of the classified documents. So which one is it? Is he a crook, or did you make you beneficial as far as your retirement plan? Which one are we doing? You see what I'm saying? So that's why there's two sides to that coin, like we said. So let's transition into this community. When we talk community, and it's only, and I'm gonna say this, it's only with our people that this comes up. Give back to your community. That's what we always hear, right? But I think most of us seen what happened with Cam Newton over the last couple of weeks when he got in this tussle at a 7-on-7. Giving back to the community. Something happened, he's in the community trying to do the right thing, and you got some people that are just, quote unquote, as they say, haters in the community. Who made it a rule? Let's just start here. Who made it a rule that once you make it big, or you feel that you've made enough money, or you're in a better position, that in order to help your community, because community is a broad statement, you have to go back into the impoverished communities to make an impact? Who wrote that? Who made that the status quo? And I only say that because if we're continuing to go back to the communities that are not doing as well, let's put it that way, because I don't like to say the hood or anything like that, that are not doing as well, why not take those children that are in those communities and bring them outside of there to show them that there's life outside of their community, rather than us always feeling that we got to go in there, when then you have the haters, you got some people where your safety, some people don't want you there. Let's just be honest. I mean, yeah, we all grew up in certain areas, and we go back there, and in certain places you don't feel safe anymore. As a kid, you probably ran them corners, cut them corners, but when was it written that you have to be in the community to impact the community, and not bring the community outside of the community to broaden it? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it from a different perspective, because sometimes they say you got to go there in order to make the impact. I get that, but you can go there, pull them out, show them there's more to this community than just what they know. Does that make sense? And it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. So
yeah, man, it's a loaded one. Yeah. Why do we go in those areas? You touched upon it. Those are the areas that need the most help. So when we want to make a difference, we feel an obligation to start there. You also touched upon it. That's where we grew up. I mean, so if you can look at yourself and say, I was once there, although the environment may have been different, I came from this same soil, from this same dirt. So look at me, touch me, not in a violent way, but talk to me because I am you. I think that's the message that we want to give back. And to address your other question of why don't we go grab and pull out, one reason could be, I think if you go and grab and pull out and put them in a brand new environment, that will they flourish right away? Even though we try to help them, probably not. Will they know? Will they have the self-confidence? Probably not. And of course, that's why we want to be there. But will they be able to connect with that community, coming out of that? Probably not. So I think we do that to go grab them, put our hands on them, instill some confidence in them, and slowly bring them out. That's the ultimate goal. But things have gotten to a point now is people think that they're getting points by downgrading, putting their hands on someone who's up here that looks like us. Like that's how you're proving that you're at the level of or something.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. I mean, can we put in some programs that provide some steps, some bridges along the way to maybe get to that point that you mentioned too? Sure. But that issue of hate, self-hate, all of that, it's probably going to be there.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There is no, and just put it, there is no right answer. Let's be real. I mean, because the thing is, there's so many different caveats that we don't look at, and that are factored into that. And one thing you said is, if you bring somebody out of an environment they're already in, their sense of security is changed. Them being comfortable and all that. And now you're trying to make them comfortable. But Battle, talk to me, man. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know where that came from, where that thought, because I've seen that happen, in Alabama where I grew up. There was a lot of good athletes that came from Alabama, and a lot of them come back to the community, or try to come back to the community, but they're not able to make those changes that they think that other people might think that they're supposed to be able to make. People are not going to just automatically change and become someone else just because you were able to do it. And I mean, I've seen it happen many, many times. And a lot of these guys don't want to come back to that environment. So I do like the idea sometimes when they invest in the area by something, whether it be a football camp or basketball camp, or sponsor some people in some types of events or something. That I think is good, but I don't understand why people expect them to actually come back and be in the community again. I don't understand where that came from.
Well, and you touched on something before you go, Reggie. You touched on something, Battle, when you said the athletes. Is it something that it's a unspoken loyalty that athletes are supposed to go back if they make it? I mean, I guess because that's who we mainly see. That's who they highlight. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
With the football camps, basketball camps, or anything like that. But whatever happened to just going into the community and maybe building a grocery store that's needed there, where they don't have to get on a bus and go 10, 15 miles, or opening up a recreation center, or any of those things? Everything revolves around camps, basketball camps, football camps, things like that. Now, I'm not saying that's all we do, but that's what's highlighted. When you think about athletes and we think about all the celebrities that we know and that are in the public eye, I ask that question because when they talk about what they're doing, their philanthropy, I think I said that right, what they're doing in the communities and stuff, it's never highlighted about them building anything or opening something or anything like that. It's like they're doing a camp, or they're doing even actors go back and they do like a actors boot camp and all that. But there's no investment in the soil, I guess is what I'm looking at, Go ahead, Pete.
And a lot of times, a lot of those types of situations don't get publicized. Like, for example, right. I bet most of y'all don't know that so John Stallworth, one of the best wide receivers that ever played in the NFL, he built a huge company in Huntsville, Alabama, where I'm from, where he went to school. And a lot of people don't even know about that company. It's an IT type company, and it's one of the largest companies in that area. And they employ a lot of people, but a lot of people don't know about it because, it is
because they highlight love and marriage Huntsville more than they do the businesses going down there in the city. Hey, let's be real.
Right.
Ratchetness sales, investment is just what it is.
Right.
And
it's not anything messy. So
no,
so you're not gonna see it.
That's the best way to put it. It's not messy enough. It's not messy enough. Go ahead, Pete. Talk to me.
I don't know if I'm piggybacking on some of the things all three of you brothers have said, but I want to look at this from a mindset of this. When you're a star, or if you're not a star, why are you giving back to the community? Are you doing it to be seen, to say I've done something and look what I'm doing for the community? Or are you doing it from your heart? And if you're doing it from your heart, you don't need to be seen. You can go and piggybacking off something you said, Collins. Why can't you build a grocery store? Nobody knows. Why can't you just build up some houses and nobody know about it? Why, for a needed family? Why can't you build shelters for families and women in need? You can give, in my opinion, it's just P-roll opinion. You don't have to be known to be a giver. To be a giver should be from the heart. So if you're going to give back to the community, if you're doing it for show, then you're going to have people out there that are resentful and don't want and don't think and think that you think you're better than them, and you're going to have those kind of situations that Cam put himself in. If you're going to be a giver, be a giver. I think a lot of these guys do it for show. Look what I'm doing. You out here, now you can touch me, you can be like me, but are you doing it for the right reasons? And I know they're giving back. I know they're not taking a dime. What they're doing is comes out of their pocket. But do you have to be seen to be a giver?
That's a double-edged sword, though.
I know
from me. It's a double-edged sword because here's the thing. If they don't see him, if the youth don't see him, then what do they have to aspire to become?
I get that.
But no, let me finish. But if they do see him, then a lot of us take it where, he just wants to be seen. So that's why I say it's a double-edged sword how you go there, because if you're behind the scenes, you're not doing enough. If you're in front of the scenes, you're doing it for show. So it's a balance between the two. Mm-hmm. But the end goal is they're going to talk about you no matter what. Giving back is the main thing we want the outcome from. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things, man, that damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because what we find out is, we always hear this phrase, too much is given, much is required. But then when you're out there and and the thing is, do we really think that when these things are happening in the community or somebody's doing something in the community, that they called up a community TV station and said, hey, I'm going to be doing this tomorrow, come out? 9 times out of 10, it's the publicist. It's not the individual. And we have to take that into account too, that the publicist wants that notoriety out there more than the athlete. Because we always hear the stories about Shaq. Shaq doesn't talk about the things he does. However, you catch him in Walmart, you see a 7'4" dude, 7'1", 300-pound dude walking through Walmart. You know who it is. Cameras are out.
He's gave so much LSU. He's gave so much LSU, they won't even let him give no more.
Right. Well, think about this. The thing we just talked when we started off about Cam. Why did somebody decide to pull a camera out at that point? We didn't see no other coverage of the 7-on-7 games or anything, just the tussle that happened because it was Cam Newton. And then it was like, well, they didn't leave Cam alone because I seen Cam. Cam a big dude. But, his safety and security, is in jeopardy when he goes into those communities. Even when he goes back to the community where he may have grown up. You have to take all that into account. Here's the other part. Let's go to this. All right. You still with us, Willis?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. I want to bring this up. This is going to be a touchy one, but I want y'all to chime in. They're all touchy, right? Homophobia with black men. Homophobia with black men. Now, I seen something the other day where they were trying to, well, they've been calling Shannon Sharp gay. There's been these things about he's gay. They call him gay. He had 2 hip replacements. He walks a little differently. He had a gay stylist at one time. They was at the games with it. They try to put all this stuff on him. Not just him. You have other folks that have these homophobic slurs thrown towards them. You have Dave Chappelle that does his shows. He talks about transgenders throughout all his show about that community. Then I just seen something the other day with Corey Holcomb where he said he almost got because he was somewhere after the show and a transgender came up and he didn't know it was a transgender, but they was talking and everything. My thing is, number one, let's go to Corey Holcomb first. Let me just say this. Number one, what do you get out of letting everybody know that you was hit on by a transgender and you didn't know? What advantage do you get out of it other than to try to put out there that you are homophobic? Because at the end of the day, if you didn't know and then you realized it, then let it go. Chalk it up as something, because now I got to question your ability to see. You know what I'm saying? But to go back with the Shannon Sharp thing, why is it with black men, and I'm going to talk about black men specifically right now. Why is it that when maybe you're aspiring or raising, your level of notoriety is raising, that this label gets put on us? And I say us because I've been called that before. Why is that? What causes us to want to first thing call someone gay because we don't agree with the way they carry themselves, who they associate with, or any of that? What is that all about? Because, and let me say this, because what we do in one breath, we say we're being emasculated by our women, but in the next breath, we're calling our other brothers gay because we don't agree with how they carry themselves. So what do we want? Do we want? Go ahead, y'all. I can't go no more. Y'all help me out. No, we laugh, man, but I'm very passionate about this, and I'll tell you why. I'm passionate about this because I hate to, and I don't like to use the word hate. I don't like to see us disparaging another brother to the point of calling him something that he's not. And then he feels the need to have to defend himself against this, because the more you try to defend yourself, the more they think that it's true, because the way you respond to it or the way you act towards it, people will look at it and say, yeah, he is. You know what I mean? Help me out, man. I just don't agree with it, but y'all go ahead. Feel free.
I don't know. It's a hard one because,
is it though?
I think
is it though?
I think it's hard to explain because I don't get it either. I mean, I grew up around men that were gay, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have a problem with it because, it's them. That's them. They do what they do. I do what I do, But I can also remember times when people said I was gay because of the way I dress. They think if all of my clothes are always pressed and matching, I got to be gay. You can't be a straight guy that's dressed like that,
Yeah.
So, and I've heard that many times in my life. So I don't quite understand it. I don't know where the mentality comes from, but I do know that when I was growing up, we always saw guys that we kind of thought were a little bit, they were different than us. We thought.
Stop right there. Stop right there. What made you think? Now, see, now we're gonna go down the rabbit hole here.
Okay.
What made you think that they were gay? And that's the thing. I think that's where the issue comes in.
Right.
But go ahead.
Right. It was because of the way that they kind of carried this. So, for example, one of my first cousins, and he was at our house all the time, and he just he was different than the rest of us. You know, he just was. And sometimes we thought, well, he's just like that because he's a mama's boy. He's always under his mom all the time. You know, we would be rough and tough, you know, playing football, playing basketball, whatever. And he was not one of those ones that want to be out there doing that with us, you know. So automatically we just assume, hey, you know, he's gay, you know. And you know, that was just the way it was growing up. We thought that if someone wasn't interested in the same things that we were interested in, if we're making comments about women and they're not participating in that, then we thought they must be gay. They must not like women. They're not looking at them the way we're looking at them, so they must not like them. You know,
couldn't be that he respected women. He don't like them. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
That's what it was. It couldn't be that, you know. It couldn't be that he just respectful like that. It could be he must be gay, you know. Yeah. But that's just the way it was growing up with a bunch of guys that had that type of mentality. You know, as I got older, of course, you know, I began to see that that's just not the way it is. You know, you have to, you can't live your life like that. So yeah. But anyway,
Reggie, talk to me. P-Roll, talk to me, P.
When I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, across the street, we lived on Orange Street. Across the street was Lonnie. Everybody knew who Lonnie was. You know, Lonnie was cool. Me and my mama and my aunts and my grandmother, they were good friends. Never had no problem with Lonnie. My grandmother owned a juke joint. The name in Sunshine, Louisiana, the name of the juke joint was the Ponderosa. Monday through Saturday, it was a regular club. On Sunday, Mother Dear would let Lonnie and his friends have that night. That was her biggest money maker on Sunday night. Never had an issue, never had a problem. As far as this conversation is going about this topic, we as people, as Black men, really, with this Shannon Sharp situation that Collins brought up, we do whatever we can to break a brother down when we're envious. Ever since that Cat Williams episode, which was his biggest seller, the man said he made more off that episode than any contract he had in the NFL. And they're going to do whatever we as Black men are looking at every opportunity to break this brother down because of his success. I saw him walk out of that car, Collins, and yeah, he walked, like you said, the man had 2 hip replacements and played in the NFL for how long? You know, he gonna walk a little different, you know. He was with the gay stylists, but that don't mean this man is gay. It just means he's open to having friendships with people, and it's up to you to accept them or not. You know, it's like anything else in life. You're gonna accept it or you're not. I know who I am. If you know who you are, you should be good with that. And that's just my opinion. You know, like I said, Mother Dear was making big money at the Ponderosa, and ain't nobody had no problem with it. The first one probably in the state of Louisiana. So,
Monica Johnson said they had a wedding at Mother's Dear place.
They sure did. Mm-hmm. They sure did.
So before you chime in, Willis, let me throw this caveat in there. It's something you said, P-Roll. You know, the thing is, they trying to tear him down, but you know, he retorted with the money. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I made this much off this. I made this all that. And that's fine. The stylist, it is what it is. But my thing is, why should he have to defend himself against these things? Because my thing is,
should have to.
You know, well, it happens, but at the same time, here's the biggest question. Would you stop watching Club Shay Shay or what is it, Nightcap, or anything that Shannon Sharps do if you did find out that he was gay? Would it change anybody watching him? Some people would say yes. But in most cases, if you're a fan of what he's doing, would it matter? Mm-mm. Talk to me, Willis.
Ooh.
You said woo.
Let's say woo.
Why are we like this? Well, I would go all the way back to what happened to us during slavery, of how
Mm.
the owners would grab the biggest,
Mm.
strongest looking black male figure and rape them in front of everyone. So for us as a black culture, I think that that continuation carried on into our mindset that we are, if you're gay, then you're not a strong black man, that you are possibly less than a man. So I think that mentality has just inflicted us so much to want to label so quickly. And we talked about what it was like growing up. And I think I shared this with you, Rodney, but when I was growing up, I was, never forget, watching this TV show with my dad. And there's this scene that came on, and it was something that was different. Like I didn't know what it was because we never talked about gay things, behavior, people whatsoever. My dad turned the TV off, turned my chair around so we're face to face. And this is our first conversation. He said, "I would rather you be a womanizer than to be gay."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did have that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this conversation.
I didn't know what a womanizer was, but that's my option. You know, I'm gonna go that route, Dad. So again, coming from his environment, you know, it was what it was. So he's just continuing that on to me. So now you get in today's society, man. As I talked about earlier, I'm really into the subconscious mind and the programming and all. That's just, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And we got some brothers that have some shows and have a podcast. And I think one of their biggest things is pause. Like, if you say something that could be insinuated, taken, you position yourself a certain way, like that's just our mentality to think that way. So therefore, we're going to label, we're going to see things, we're going to point anything out and stay within that mindset of, is it gay or not? And then we still have that backdoor mindset of, okay, are you strong black man, or are you, you know? So why is it happening? Because I think it's just out in the open. It's everywhere. Not only just stylists of Shannon Sharp, but you go through all through entertainment, all through music, all through movies, all through these things. You know, it's so. So I just think that's the. I hate to say narrative, but that's just what people are on, man, for some reason.
Yeah, it's So I'm gonna ask y'all this question, and anybody out there listening can chime in on the male persuasion. Can you see yourself being friends with a gay man, or are you worried about guilt by association?
Yeah, I can be friends. To P-Rose's point, I know who I am. I know I'm married. I know I've been married once before, and I know they say, yeah, but there's several other. Well, I'm talking about me.
Yeah. They talk about them beards that they talk about. That's what they say, their beard and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just talking about me, so I'm comfortable in who I am. I have family members who are gay. Do I love them any less? Come on.
Right.
You know, so I, in college, had a teammate who was gay. Scared to come out. I mean, scared to come out. Finally came out.
But back then, though, you know, the consequences. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, different world now.
So, yes, short answer to your question, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But P-Ro, you just said the consequences. What are the consequences?
Well, back then, the consequences are now. Back then, you know.
But even now, when you say consequences, my thing is, it's like, and I guess when you say consequences, it's like you can't be yourself.
Well,
because
consequences is the wrong word.
No, that's the right word. But I'm just trying to look at it in a different way when we say consequences.
You gotta figure. I don't know if you guys. When I get up in the morning, I'll be flipping channels. So I watch this. Sometimes I watch this talk show, and the brother name is Karamo.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all know who that is?
I know who it is.
Yeah, Karamo is a gay black talk show host. His show is really good, right? To me, it is, right? But he knows who he is. He actually has a son that him and his ex-wife raised. He has a partner now, but the man knows who he is, and to your point, Collins, our consequences, we can get back to that. I've had people that I've worked with that were friends, who were gay, but I didn't live their lifestyle and they didn't live mine. We worked together, we joked, we laughed, we had a good time. Because I know who I am. He knew who he was. I worked in warehouses, man, where, there were actual couples in this warehouse, lesbian and gay men, couples, right? They were everywhere. And it didn't bother me because I know who I am. I know my lifestyle. I even got somebody came back to me. I'm walking down the hall one day and a young guy came up to me and said, I just want to always tell you, you have the most beautiful eyes. I said, thank you, bro. Then I went on to the bathroom because I know who I am. All right. The consequences, I could not imagine back when Willis, when was this with your boy, your teammate?
This was 92.
Okay, 92. This is 2024, right? You're talking 92 versus 2024. Coming out in the 90s, that was pressure for those folks. Coming out now is such a norm. You got your family, their families might have issues with it. Their friends might have their relatives, but what that young man would have had to go through in 92 may not be what he has to go through now, because you're talking two different worlds. The mindset, it is. College,
let me say this.
The mindset now is such a norm.
Well, we say it's the norm, but then if that's the case, Shannon Sharpe wouldn't be dealing with what he's dealing with. So what I'm saying is, we say that it would have been worse then than now, but in all reality, I think it's worse now because you have social media where you can put it out there in the atmosphere and people take it like it's truth. Just like when you talk about the MAGA Republicans that put their messages out there that are fake and people run with it. It's the same thing here. We know about Shannon Sharpe being called gay. Why? Not because we know Shannon Sharpe, because of social media. So if you had social media back then, like Willis is talking about, let me tell you something. There'd be a whole bunch of people back then that would have only been put out in the open. They probably been killed.
Well, back then, yeah.
Compared to now. That's all I'm saying. I'm not pushing back against you. I'm just saying the social media atmosphere has made it more broader for people to just say what they want to say, and people run with it. Mike Epps called him gay in a stand-up special.
He did.
In a stand-up special, and Shannon Sharpe said, "Oh, I'm gonna see you," and then they end up meeting and sitting down talking. Now, here's my thing: if Mike Epps meant what he said, there would have never been a meeting back in 1982. Because the homophobia would have overseen the fact that I'm not sitting down with him. So then you had to ask, are these things put out there just because they want notoriety by saying it? Because I don't know, man. It's James Austin. Yes, as long as they understand that I'm not gay and won't try to cross the line. Well, I'm gonna tell you what I heard somebody say one time. And he was talking to a guy. I think I seen it on something, but the guy was gay. And the guy that was straight thought he was hitting on him. And you know what he said? A gay man don't want you. Straight out like that. Don't think you that fine that a gay man wants you. So at the end of the day, the homophobia that we have in our community causes more of a disconnect than understanding. And that's why I bring this up, because I'm a fan of Shannon Sharpe. I like what he's doing. And to hear that thrown against him, to minimize what he's doing in the social media spaces, to make it seem like we got to put this glitch on him now that he has notoriety in this social media space, it just don't make sense. And it's coming from our own people. That's the part that pisses me off.
Well, and that's what I would go back to previously in terms of that mindset. If we're thinking about Shannon Sharpe, look at him from a physical presence standpoint. This is one strong looking brother.
Yeah, he don't wear that shirt, the Hulk, for nothing.
You know what I'm saying? So football player, still in great shape, just a dominating physical presence. But then if we can label him gay, then maybe he's not this strong, blah, blah, blah.
You just broke him down.
Yeah.
But don't it go back to what you just said though? The buck breaking back in the day.
Yeah.
Go after the biggest and the baddest.
That's
Go
what I'm
after the biggest and the baddest, and then everybody else fall in line because they're going to go along with that. Because if we can break him down, we ain't got to worry about nobody else.
Yep.
Go ahead, Battle. Talk to me. You said you look like you had something you wanted to throw in there.
Oh no, the only thing I was going to say was that, you brought up the thing about how, social media and how it's easily, I guess it's easy for people to try to break down people like that with all the social media. I think that's true. And I think also for people who are gay and those types of, they can also express themselves a little bit more openly than they were back in the day. Back in the day, they had to hide everything.
Right.
And so their lives were just completely, different. I mean, like I was telling you about my first cousin, we all knew that he was gay. I mean, we all knew it, but he couldn't come out and tell us, and he couldn't tell anybody that,
Yeah.
And eventually he was able to do those things. But I think now it's a lot easier for him to live his life like he wants to. Back in those days, it was impossible for him to live those days. Just the people that were closest to him knew.
Yeah. I think one of the worst decisions, and this is just my opinion, one of the worst decisions that the military ever did was when they came out with Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And a lot of people say, no, because no. And I'll tell you why I say that. I say that because when they did that, it put more visibility on people who may have lived that lifestyle than it needed to from the beginning. Because we all knew when we were serving that there was people in the military, men and women, that were gay, that lived that lifestyle. But when they put that on that Don't Ask, Don't Tell, then it magnified. And it caused more of a discord in the military than it did help it, in my opinion, because now you're sitting there, and now because it's Don't Ask, Don't Tell, people were scared to even be themselves anymore. I've seen people that totally changed, trying to fit a lifestyle that they weren't. And I'll give you a prime example, and I think I've said this before. I had a young guy that worked for me when I was in Italy. Everybody assumed, one of my hardest workers, everybody assumed he was gay. I didn't get into those conversations because I'm a supervisor. Don't ask, don't tell is going on. He comes to me one day and said, Sergeant Collins, can I talk to you? I said, yeah. He said, well, can we go outside? So we walked around the yard, with the motor pool. And he says to me, I got something I need to tell you. And I said, what's going on? He said, I'm gay. First thing I said was, you know what you just did, right? Not, why are you gay? None of that. You know what you just did, because now I went into supervisory mode with the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. No compassion for what he was telling me. Just the fact of, this is where we're at now. I got to report this. He said, that's why I'm telling you. I respect you. And that's why I'm telling you, because if I got to be kicked out of the military, I want to be done by somebody I respect. Then I had to run up the chain for him to be kicked out. Fast forward about 6 months later, after he was gone, I walk in the break room one day and they're in there talking about him badly. And this is where I wasn't passionate. I was angry because he was one of my best workers. And I just yelled out, y'all gonna sit here and talk about this man without knowing who he is or his life experiences. I said, but one thing that I know is true. If I had 100 of him, this place would run smoothly. But good, and I went into some other things, but it was one of those things that it opened my eyes to the point of, you can't judge a book by its cover. Because in spite of the fact of what they said about him and them talking about him behind his back and thinking that he still came to work every day and busted his ass to do his job. But then for me, having to get him out of the military because of that, because he decided to tell, it had me kind of this way after the fact, because when he said it to me, I wasn't compassion, I was supervisor. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not the fact of, hey man, you know what I gotta do, but I hope everything works out for you. You know, enjoy your life, everything. But after that conversation, I never got to tell him how I appreciated what he did while he was there. That's the one, and I don't like to live with regrets, but that's the one thing that I didn't get to do, that I always look back on and say, man, I wonder where he's at. I wonder how he's doing. I wonder how his life is. Because the one thing he also said was, I'm tired of living a lie. And that's where I think, for when I hear this Shannon Sharp stuff and everything like that, from what we know, the man is not gay, right? But when people put that label on him who is not, and then I think about the ones that are, they can't even be themselves because they are, now it's a whole different conversation. You got people commit suicide. You got people that get beat. You got people that get killed because of their lifestyle. But we're out here putting labels on people who may not even be in that lifestyle, and we're jeopardizing not only their lifestyle, but their livelihood. That's
True.
all.
True.
I just, now I'm passionate about that, because it just doesn't sit well with me, man, when I see that, because especially amongst our brothers. When we talk about our communities and trying to be on one accord and all these different things, and then we got stuff like this. It just doesn't make sense to me. But they're the same ones that walk around here complaining, or they're probably the same ones that are blacks for Trump. But that's another conversation for another day, because but real quick, how y'all feel about that? The AI pictures with Trump in them, transposed in with black folks and all that kind of stuff, or the selling of gold sneakers and saying that we were buying T-shirts with mug shots on them. How does that make you feel as a black man, to think that they've minimized you to the purchasing of gold sneakers and a mug shot on a T-shirt to get your vote?
It does.
To get your vote.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me that much about what they're doing, because nothing surprises me that Trump does. Nothing that he does surprises me. What surprises me is how some of our people fall to that level and allow that kind of stuff to happen. I mean, I don't know what happens to people to make them like that, but to me that bothers me, though, when I see people that, like the ones that were sitting in the crowd when he said, oh, the only ones I can see are the black ones. I can't see anything but the black ones. Like, what is that supposed to mean?
Just what he said.
Yeah, and then they're just sitting in there laughing, and like it's supposed to be funny. But this guy is not a comedian. He's running for president of the United States.
United States of America.
To me, it's a total difference. If he was a comedian and you're supposed to be in there laughing at his jokes or something, but you're talking about somebody that's gonna be running the country, and it bothers me, man.
He's not running for president. He's running for king.
Well, yeah, that too.
Dictator.
I've seen, you mentioned comedian, Mr. Battle. I've seen Cat Williams, or actually heard and seen Cat Williams, heard and seen Jada Kiss, heard and seen Dave Chappelle, all individually state that Donald Trump, while he was in office, their pockets were better.
And that's all they're concerned about.
So I think when you get to why do we as a people, we have decided my money is important. When this man is in office, I have more opportunities to protect my money, save my money, loopholes, whatever the case may be. And that's going to be what it is. Yeah. I don't think there is a emphasis on either one, DR, independent, whomever, actually doing something for them as a people, as a culture, in the community. So it comes down to, it's about my money. So that's why.
Oh no, I get it. I get it. And I think that bothers me even more.
Agreed.
Because
it should.
Because to me, I mean, Dave Chappelle, Cat Williams, all of them could die today. They can't take any of that stuff with them when they die.
No,
You know, so you know, all of those things that they look at, because I also look at the fact that when Trump was in office, millions of people died that shouldn't have died.
yeah.
A lot of people I knew that died from the COVID epidemic or pandemic. So those things to me kind of take over everything else when I hear these types of things. So, and then I remember walking into stores where I couldn't buy toilet tissue, or I couldn't buy paper towels. So even if I have $1 million in my pocket, I still can't get what I need. So for me, I mean, there's a lot of people that say that their money was better, but if at some point though, all of those taxes that wasn't getting paid, the bill came due, you know,
bill coming due,
and we ended up in the situation that we were in. Right. If the economy would have been structured right, where people have to pay taxes in order for the country to prosper, in order for the country to even pay its bills. But when we don't pay taxes, when other people don't pay their taxes, then what happens is what has happened every time we've had a Republican president in office. Every time. You can go back and look in history. Reagan, when he left office, the economy was jacked up.
Bush.
When Bush left, the economy was jacked up. And every time you get a Democrat that comes back in there, they try to get the tax levels and stuff back to where they really need to be, and then the country flourishes again. And the problem that I have with it is that people live in that little time space, those 4 years or 8 years or whatever, and outside of that, they're not living. I don't know what they're doing. They're just existing, but they're not really living. So that's why I get so passionate about it. And I think that people at some point, they have to realize that, you know, money is not the most important thing in life. It's just not.
If you look at the context of that joke from Dave Chappelle, if you look at the context of that joke, what he was saying was he's in a line voting, and all these poor whites were talking about Donald Trump. But he ended the joke by saying he ain't worried about you. He taking care of people like me, the 1% who are millionaires. He's you know, his thought process is, I'm not the poor. I'm gonna take care of the ones who have.
Well, that's most of them that have money. But let me read Michelle Summerall's quote for a minute. We should position ourselves so we can thrive under either administration or philosophy. We haven't been taught that. We've been expected to take and rely on the handouts, which could be gone based on a whim. And I didn't see where the money changed much, quite frankly. And then she said, understood, it's exhausting, but we must get involved. Let me throw this caveat in there. I'm gonna start with the t-shirts with the mugshot on it. I think some of that we're to blame for that. We are to blame for some of this thing about the t-shirts, and I'll tell you why. Think back to when Obama won. Every corner you went in Washington, D.C. had President Obama face on a t-shirt, flags, all those type things. We did this to ourselves, and now they took the blueprint that we used on Obama, and now Trump is using it. He went a little far with the sneakers, but that's another conversation for another day. But if you really think about it, we were buying the t-shirts. We were wearing those hats. We were doing all this because we were so proud to have a black president. But now when we see a MAGA hat, we're pissed off. When we see a t-shirt with a mugshot on it, we're pissed off. It's the same playbook, different picture. That's number one. Number two, when we talk about these celebrities that are only worried about the bottom line, I want you to think about this. And I've had this conversation. A lot of people push back. When you talk about Jay-Z, Killer Mike, any of those people that are talking about voting for Donald Trump because of the financial gain, they say, right? The 401ks was better, stock market was better than all this. I want you to think about something. A lot of us don't want to talk about this, but let's be real. These are the same people before they became notoriety and rap and big name rappers are the same ones who were selling drugs in our community, killing our own people. Let's not forget that most of these rappers, and I don't want to put all of them in the category, but there's a lot of rappers out here who were drug dealing, slinging on corners in our own community, infecting our community, but they're mad at Joe Biden about the crime bill, but they were the main ones out there infecting our community. Nobody wants to talk about that. We want to concentrate on where they are at now, but let's think about how they had the money to get there. Off of the backs of your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, and some of them are still addicted to this day or serving time because of their addiction. But we put them on a pedestal because greatest rapper alive, or he won a Grammy, or he did this. They don't give a damn about y'all buying them albums. They don't give a damn about who you voting for. They're going to vote their interests. And their interest is to keep their money any way they can, which is what their interest was when they were selling dope in our communities to our own people. That's what we had to get back to the basis of. Everybody that look like us ain't for us.
Right.
And we call Tim Scott and Ben Carson and all these ones sellouts, Coolins, Uncle Toms, and everything. Sometimes we got to look at some of these celebrities and what they've done in their past. Not saying we should hold it against them, but understand the mindset of why they make the decisions that they make.
Well,
I just want to put it out there.
I think that last statement you made is one that's goes into a whole nother topic. I think quite a few of them, if they knew that there was another route or were shown another way to actually develop the talent that they had, I think they possibly would have chosen that. Yeah. I don't, and I can't speak for any of them because I haven't had that conversation, but to some degree, and a lot of them talked about it, they convinced themselves that this is the only way.
Right.
This is the only way because I saw the OG in the neighborhood and what was going on. And that's what I wanted to aspire to. And going back to what we talked about previously, they didn't have someone come back to the hood to say, hey, I'm going to pull you out and put you in this environment so you can be successful.
Positioning. Yeah.
Right. You know, so they were just there and this is how I'm going to get there. So, but yes, we have to look at that history and say, okay, hypocrisy, you know, you're pointing the finger on one end, but let's take a look and let's have some understanding in what you're actually saying before you start talking.
Yeah.
But to that, one last thing, to that degree with Jay-Z and what he's trying to do with prison reform, that's the way of giving back. And he's not in going back to the neighborhood and subjecting himself to whatever. He's really trying to make a change at a level that matches his money. So to that.
Right. Yeah. And I don't do that to disparage him. I just look at, because if it was me or you, the people in our circles would judge us not only by where we're at today, but everything we were before. And it gets lost in that because they have money. Because money, as long as they have money, people tend to forget all the stuff in the past. And money doesn't overlook everything, because if that was the case, and I'll go back again, Shannon Sharp wouldn't be calling gay with all the money he made off of the Cat Williams interview, because he said he made 3 times. He said, whatever I made as an NFL player, triple it off of that one interview. That tells you everything you need to know right there. And that's the thing is, most of the people in those positions are worried about their bottom line. They're worried about their bottom line. So, but we are hour and 25 in, man. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up for the day, but we are going to have this again. We are, because I appreciate the conversation. And, you know, we went down a couple of rabbit holes, and, you know, a lot of people don't like to have them conversations, but I like to have them because it opens up conversations for others to have even after we get off of here this morning. But before we can wrap it up, I want each of you to say something to the people that you think needs to be said at this time that'll help them while we're in this election season, whether they're dealing with something at their job or somebody out there that's having a difficulty understanding where they fit in because of their lifestyle or just being who they are. Go ahead. Any of y'all.
Believe in your truth. Believe in yourself. Believe in your truth. Understand who you are. Understand your core values. Understand your upbringing. everything that's been instilled in you. Believe in your truth. Understand the importance of giving back. Understand the importance of being in your community, and try to love every day. It's much easier to love than hate. If you can do that, I think you'd be okay.
Okay. Next.
I just wanted to say that for everyone to kind of, focus on those important things, the things that are important, like your family, your health. I'm learning it the hard way myself. Learning that there are more important things than just making money and trying to have all the things that I may want to have. But like I was telling Collins when we were off the air, I've been having some medical issues myself, and going through those, I do see the importance of just really focusing on my family, my health, making sure that I'm here for my grandkids. I may not be a millionaire or nothing like that, but they'll still have their grandfather here to spend some time with, if I take care of the things I need to take care of.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Amen.
Brother Willis.
Yes. Geez. One thing we don't know is what each individual person is going through and dealing with internally in their homes, within their minds. But we do know that everybody is dealing with something. So with that, I would say, have the courage, be open and honest to talk to someone, ask for help, find people that you can trust, that you can open up with, and that's going to provide some benefit to you to really help maybe find some solutions to some things, or just to be more confident in, as Piro said, living your truth.
Well, I would wrap it up and say, don't let the situations in this world change you. Change the situations in the world as best you can. I think that's where we get caught up, because a lot of us just throw our hands up and say, I can't change nothing. It is what it is. And we fall in line. But sometimes, even salmon at a certain time and swim upstream, against the current. And I think that's something that we as black men, and I'll speak for black men for a minute, I think sometimes we got to get out of being the status quo and go against the grain sometimes in order to make the change that we want to see. Sometimes we don't think what we're doing is going to matter, but everything we do every day, as James said, he wants to be here for his grandkids. Everything we do matters somehow, some way, to somebody. And unless we stay the course is the one thing, but go against the grain every once in a while. Right is right, wrong is wrong, but we can't just fall into the status quo thinking that I can't sit back and say, oh, well, P-Row can make that change. Willis can make that change. I'll leave that up to battle. We got to be the change that we want to see. That's the way I look at it. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Monica Johnson, that's Wisdom Cousin. This was very informative. Appreciate you tuning in. Ryan Hoodie, good show, good topics, and good conversation. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate my panelists, Reggie P-Row, Willis Cheney, James Battle. We'll be back again. This is a Soul Sessions, Black Man's Perspective. We had women on a couple weeks ago. Hopefully this meets up to the standard that they set, and we're going to keep doing this in different moments. If anybody wants to join in and be a part of any of the panels, rwcoolins@yahoo.com. Send me a message, and we'll get you in the panel. We're going to try to switch people out, bring new perspectives in. But the biggest part of it is, let's have a conversation. That's all it's about. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely, keep your faith in God. We'll see y'all again next week, and we out. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
I'll let y'all. Peace.